All right. Welcome to our first class in that programming language. All right. So this is going to be our first step into our Flutter development, basically for those who want to actually become mobile developers. So while we are going to start with that because that is the foundational programming language for that. All right. So in this section, let us take a look at what is that. Okay, we actually start with the introduction, and basically, this is going to be more of theory. All right, yes, you still have your test to write, but this is going to be more of theory. And while as we go on, we'll be diving deeper into it, and you're going to see how beautiful that is and why you should actually learn that for your mobile development. So, what is that? All right, that is an open source client optimized programming language developed by Google. All right, so but before I continue, I need you to understand that if this is your first time of learning a programming language, that is not a good one to start with. All right, you have to start with JavaScript or Python. So that is more is like an advanced, is more advanced than JavaScript. So if you're just a beginner, yes, I'm not trying to scare you, but you just have to pay close attention, all right? But if you maybe have written JavaScript or Python before, or maybe C Sharp or C++, languages like that, it could be easier for you. But we're still going to do our best because that's what we do here. We are going to make you understand. We teach you from beginner's level, actually. So we're still going to teach you as if you've not ever programmed before. So just be patient with it. If things get frustrating, reach out to your instructor. Always reach out to your instructor in case things get frustrating for better clarification. All right, so that by the side. So what is that? That is an open source client optimized programming language developed by Google. So I will have to break it down. Open source, when we say something is an open source, it means that it is something that a lot of people are contributing to. All right, a lot of people, in as much as it is developed by Google, but you as a developer can also contribute to this. You can add to that programming language. So it's an open source project, okay? It is an open source client optimized. Basically, that is created to build front end applications. All right. It is client optimized programming language. It is basically built for client applications. All right. So your UI basically, that is what that is mostly optimized for. All right. So in as much as these days that is actually doing well on the server side, but it is client optimized. It is something, it is best used for front end applications. All right. So it is actually developed by Google. And when something is developed by Google, you should be rest assured that this is going to be big. That is really making waves. It's really coming up very well. So anything that is developed by Google, you can be rest assured that it's going to be big. So it is primarily used for building mobile, desktops, server, and web applications. Yes, basically mobile. Yes, you can also, because it is cross-platform, the Flutter, okay, Flutter will be the next course you'll be taking after learning this one because Flutter is the framework that you use to build mobile, desktop, and web applications. Now, that is also gaining weight on the server side, but basically, I will not use that for now. Today is 14th of December 2024. As of today, I will not use that for server applications. So, but basically, mobile applications, all right, that is really doing well. So you can also use it to build web applications. But if you want to build a better web application, you use JavaScript. All right. So basically, that is for mobile. That's what I will use that for with the Flutter framework. That is also known for its fast performance, easy to learn syntax, and focus on user interface development. Basically, Google developed this programming language because they wanted something that would be better than JavaScript. So they have JavaScript in mind. They just want to make something that will be better than JavaScript. So and they're really trying. All right, they're really doing well, and that is a very good programming language to learn. Okay. So what are the key features of that? All right. It is a general purpose language. All right. You can use with that and the Flutter framework, you can actually build cross-platform application, mobile, even the mobile, you can do Android and iOS with one code base. All right. You can use it to build for different devices. So that can be used for a wide variety of applications, not limited to one platform. It is a general purpose language. It is a general purpose language. It can run on any platform. It is used for building wide variety of applications. Okay, so it is also optimized for UI development. As I mentioned before, that was created for your UI. So basically, your front-end applications, most especially mobile, all right, for now, most especially mobile, it is really optimized for UI development. So that works particularly well for creating user interfaces, especially with the Flutter framework. So like I said, as of today, I will not use that for any other thing. I will use that for mobile application, and basically it's the UI. Okay, so if I want to do anything that has to do with the back end, I can choose Firebase or any other thing. So basically, that is optimized for UI development. It is a strongly typed language. Now, if you do not understand, if this is your first time of taking a programming language course, you might not really understand what we mean by strongly typed language. But if you don't, no problem. As we go on, I will be mentioning it. I don't know if you have written JavaScript, but if you have not, no problem. That supports something we call static typing. Okay. And also type inference, improving code reliability. Now, in as much as this is not anybody who is taking this course, this should not be your first time of programming. That is the requirement. It should not be your first time because you should understand what we mean by static typing, all right, or dynamic typing. JavaScript is a dynamic typed language. Okay, so that support even both dynamic too, but we are going to see basically a language like TypeScript, a language like C#, a language like C++, they support static typing. It means that whenever you give a variable a particular value, that means that variable is now holding a particular data type. So you cannot change that data type. You can never change it. That is what we mean by static typing. But in JavaScript, you can actually change. JavaScript is dynamically typed, so you can actually still change it, but a lot of errors will occur with your JavaScript. But with this static typing, those errors that could occur when you're using JavaScript can't occur here. Okay, so with that programming language, because of the static typing, you would actually have less errors. There's also something we call type inference, and even if you don't give a variable a type and give it a value, that programming language would infer it for you. Okay, so but don't worry, I'm not going to explain those things right now, but we will talk as we go on. You're going to understand better. You understand what we mean by static typing. You would also understand what we mean by type inference. Okay, so there is something we call ahead of time compilation that can be compiled into native machine code, enabling faster startup times and better performance. If you have taken our JavaScript class on this platform, the Global Journey, if you have taken our JavaScript class, I think in the first few sessions in the first chapter, we discuss what we mean by compiling, compilation, and interpretation. Okay, we explained it in details, so I'm not going to do that because I expect that you would have programmed before coming to this taking this course. So that can be compiled into native machine code, enabling faster startup times and better performance. Okay, that can be seen as a compiled programming language. So the compilation will be done ahead of time. All right, so a language like C#, C++, Golang, especially Golang and C#, C++, because C# can also might not, it will not say it's 100% compiled. All right, but a language like Golang, a language like C++, a language like C, they are 100% compiled. All right, so that can be compiled into native machine code, enabling faster startup times and better performance. But during development, as a developer, when we are developing these applications, we can also, that employ something we call just-in-time compilation. So that supports some hot reload during development. When you're developing, you're making your changes, and those changes need to reflect immediately. So that supports some the hot reload, and it is just in time. C# also has this just in time compilation, and this enables developers to make changes to the app and see immediate result without restarting. While you're doing ahead of time compilation, once you compile to machine code, you cannot change it anymore. Okay, unless you make your changes and recompile again. But with the just-in-time compilation, when you're actually doing hot reload, when we start coding, I will explain what I mean by hot reload. Okay, so during development, we do something we call hot reload, and this enables you, as you're developing your application, you are making some changes, and these changes need to reflect in real time for you to see what you're actually doing. So that's what we mean by just-in-time compilation, ahead of time compilation, and just-in-time compilation. I wish I have more time to explain this, but in case you do not understand what we mean by ahead of time compilation and just-in-time compilation, I will need you to reach out to us. All right, click on the chat button. Click on the chat button on the bottom right of your screen and reach out and raise the topic in the group. Ask for more explanation of the difference between ahead of time compilation and just-in-time compilation. Okay. So there's also something we call garbage collection. That includes automatic memory management to handle unused memory. Now, the thing is this, when you're running your program, you would have created some variables that at a time, these variables will no longer be used. So, and when you create these variables, they are created in your memory, and that means they are taking space in your computer memory. So if you don't delete those variables, okay, those memory will not be, your memory will be getting full. So in order to avoid this, there's something we call garbage collection. C# has it, and other programming languages. So that includes automatic memory management. So what they do is this: they will be checking for variables that are no longer in use, variables that do not have any references to them. Okay. As we go on, I would be mentioning these things so that you can understand better. So that is what we call garbage collection. It will be checking for memory variables that are no longer in use so that it can take them out, so that it can free your memory. Because as a programmer, one of the things you should strive to do is don't let your program not take too much memory, because it will make it less performant. That programming language also supports cross-platforms. It has this cross-platform support. So with a single code base of that, let's say you create you write a code now. That code that you have written can run on iOS, it can run on Android, it can run on Windows, it can run on macOS, Linux, and the web. That's why we say that, or most especially the Flutter framework is for cross-platform. It means that with one code base, all right, your application can run on iOS, it can run on Android, it can run on Windows and Mac, Linux, and the web. So what it means is that you don't have to write a new code for iOS. Then when you want to develop Android, you go and write another one. So this is one of the biggest reasons why people are using that and Flutter framework, because with one code base, my application can run on iOS, Android, Windows, Mac, Linux, and the web. Okay. So why was that created? I have already told you that that was created by Google. So why was it created? Now you need to understand these things. So Google created that in 2001 to provide a modern, flexible, and fast programming language that could address performance bottlenecks in web and app development. I told you that that was created to compete or make JavaScript better. Okay, in as much as they might not have achieved that as we speak, but it was developed to address the performance bottlenecks in web and app development. Okay, so this is the reason why Google developed it, and trust me, they are working on this goal to achieve it. So that is a very fast programming language, especially for front-end development, web and app. Okay, so that is why they developed that. So with that, Google aimed to make a more productive developer experience, and that is true because I have coded in that, and there is just a lot of features that make it amazing. Okay, there's a lot of features, especially for a developer. Okay, one of the things we should also always strive for is something we call developer productivity. All right, so that gives that with the Flutter framework. It also gives you better performance for UI heavy applications. All right, so since they created this thing to address the issues that we were getting with the JavaScript and the web, in as much as for me, they haven't also achieved that, but of course they would. It's just how many years old? 2014. This could be around maybe 15 years. Am I correct? Yes, something like that. No, 13 years. So trust me, when this thing gets to 20 years or thereabout, it's going to be very, very amazing. So that's why you need to learn this language, and it is really making waves these days. So where do you use that? Why, when you start writing that programming language, where do you use it? You use it with Flutter, okay? Before you even start to write Flutter applications, you need to know how to program in that, because that is the foundational programming language for Flutter. So that powers Flutter. Without that, you can't write Flutter. Without that, Flutter is nothing. So Flutter is a popular UI framework for building natively compiled mobile, web, and desktop applications from a single code base. Okay, so without that, there's no need. You can't write Flutter. So if you want to learn Flutter, which is the main thing, we need to, because this course is mobile development, and you are learning that. You will learn Flutter, you will learn Firebase, all right, and you will learn GitHub, all right. So, but the thing is this: that is the if you don't know that, you can't write Flutter. Okay, these days, that's server-side development. You can also use that for server-side development. That supports server development through frameworks like Aquidot and Datfrog. I have not used that for any server-side development yet. Okay, I have not used it, but you can also, it's also something that these are the things they are building into it. All right, so they are making it better. And trust me, Google would make this better. So it is a good language to learn. That can be compiled to JavaScript, allowing it to run in the browser. Okay, so you can, for JavaScript, for that to run on the browser, it has to be compiled to JavaScript. So with the same code base, all right, you created for your UI, for your iOS or Android, Java, that can also be compiled, all right, and you can also run it on the browser. So you can also use it to create desktop applications. Desktop can be compiled to native binaries, making it ideal for cross-platform desktop apps. So you can see, if you learn that, if you have this skill, it is a very good one. All right, it's a very good one to have. So what are the key components of that? We'll start with the Dart SDK, Software Development Kit. In short, there's no way you can actually create Dart applications without having this software development kit. All right. So this software development kit contains something we call that virtual machine, that VM virtual machine. Okay. So especially when we are developing, that is where this virtual machine actually makes more sense. So that virtual machine is just for running that programs. Okay, so if you don't have that virtual machine, you cannot run that programs. Okay, so that also has a couple of libraries. They call libraries like that async. So if you want to perform a synchronous task, you can use this library. You also have the Dart core, where most of the things about that is also in. You're going to see all these things. You also have the Dart math library, where if you want to do any mathematical operation, calculation, anything that has to do with math, you can go to this library and you can use some of the functions or methods they have. Classes, because that is an object-oriented programming language. So it's basically classes. Everything you do in that you're going to be writing classes. So, but don't worry, we'll get to that. So that compiler is another as in these are one of the things that the SDK contain. The SDK contains the virtual machine, it contains libraries, and it also contains some tools like the Dart compiler, the formatter, and the analyzer. We are going to see all these things. So another one, apart from the SDK, we also have what we call Dartpad. So in case you do not have maybe Visual Studio Code or the Android Studio, you can actually write your Dart programs on Dartpad. It's online, just with your browser. You go to that pad and then you run that code. Don't worry, the first application we are going to write, we are going to be using Dartpad. Then we'll move on to Visual Studio Code, okay? Packages and POM, okay? some people have written some of the things you might be doing. Some people have written this code and made it available so you can reuse it. So these are the things we call dependencies. Sometimes, or even most times, your application will depend on other people other code other people have written. So with the packages and pub, that uses this pub package manager to manage dependencies and share reusable code. If you don't understand this, no problem. You're going to see more of that, especially when we start writing application. We'll be using some code that other people have written, or maybe that itself also, but it might not be part of the core that. So since we want to use something like that, we would have to download them or maybe add them as dependencies. Okay. So how do we do that? We use the packages and the pub that provide. So what are the advantages of that? Number one is this: fast development. Features like hot reload improve developer productivity. I have tested this, okay? All right, I have tested it. Just make your changes, save it, PM, everything there will be a hot reload and you see the changes that you have made right immediately, okay? It's also high performance. That this AOT is ahead of time compilation, while GIT is just in time compilation. So both of these two compilation enable fast execution and smooth UI. Okay, single code base. Write one code base for mobile, web, desktop platforms. Just one code base. It has modern syntax because that has an expressive, clean, and familiar syntax. If you have written other programming languages, you would also find it easy to write that, okay? It has a strong community. This community is supported by Google and growing due to Flutter's popularity. Flutter is really growing because if you want to build a mobile app, iOS or Android, you need to know Kotlin for your Android. You need to know Swift for your iOS. But if I want to build any application for both of them, I'll just use Flutter. So Flutter is really making waves. I write one code, it can run on iOS, it can run on Android. So that is why this is really making waves, okay? So let us take a look at the difference between that and other programming languages. Okay, so we see this table, we see the feature. The first feature we take a look at is the type system. Okay, so what type of type system do they have? That can be optionally static or dynamic. They build it in a way that you can, if you want to use static typing, you can. If you want to use dynamic typing, you can, because or if you still look at it, there are still benefits of using dynamic typing. So, but that will not be a choice you make. Do you want it to be static? Do you want it to be dynamic? Don't worry, we are going to be creating these things that you're going to be seeing. Now, when you look at JavaScript type system is dynamic. But Java, type system, C Sharp, C++, they are all static. So you can see that that is actually borrowing from the two of them, taking the two features of this JavaScript and Java and other programming languages. So it is up to you to choose to make them static or dynamic. Okay. What of compilation? The ahead of time compilation and just in time compilation. But for JavaScript, it is just in time compilation because it's more of interpretation. Well, we have two types of programming language: compiled programming languages and interpreted programming languages. So for JavaScript, it is just in time, which is interpreted programming language. But that can also be a compiled programming language and also an interpreted programming language. Java also does the same thing. C Sharp does the same thing, ahead of time and just in time. But for C++ and C, it is ahead of time. For something like Golang, it is always ahead of time. Okay, so but that's by the way. Performance, that is faster. JavaScript is slower. All right, so this is the reason why they are creating that to make. Let's see if they can beat JavaScript. Let's see if they can. Maybe in the next 10-20 years they might beat JavaScript, but let us see. But because that is faster for native code, is faster, but JavaScript is slower because it's an interpreted language. All right, so but Java is fast. It is JV, it is because of its JVM, and it's also compiled. So it's also interpreted and compiled at the same time. Okay, but we are not going to talk about why it is like that because this is not a Java class. But performance-wise, that is faster. All right, maybe you can compare its performance when it comes to being fast with something like Golang, which is also a compiled and it's compiled to native code, and C++, maybe Ruby. Yeah, am I correct? Yes, Ruby. Ruby is also another fast language. So JavaScript is slower. So what of the frameworks? The UI framework, we use Flutter for that. But for JavaScript, we have React, we have Vue, we have Angular. But for now, Java does not have any framework unless it is third party. All right. So what of cross-platform? That is cross-platform. You can use that to create run application on any platform. iOS, Android, Windows, Linux, name them. Okay. So, but for JavaScript, it can run on web and mobile. All right. We use JavaScript to build web applications and also mobile applications. But you can see the argument. They say it's limited. I wouldn't even go into that argument. Okay. But the thing is this: since that was really developed for mobile, okay, I think it might beat JavaScript. Okay. So but for now, we are focusing on that, and we are loyal to that programming language. Now, that is the best programming language in the world since we are learning this, so we have to be loyal to this language. So, in conclusion, that is a versatile and modern programming language that excels in UI development. Okay, it is its integration with Flutter has made it a top choice for building cross-platform applications with native performance. Whether you're developing mobile, web, or server-side applications, that offers a robust and productive experience. So, with that said, we'll end this class here. If there's any question, please reach out to us. Okay, our numbers are always available. Reach out to us. And if there's any contribution, you can drop it in the comment section. You can also raise a topic in the group. Okay, let's hear you. Okay, raise a topic. If you don't understand something, you want us to explain better, and let us know in the group, and we'll also discuss it. Okay, thank you very much, and I will see you in the next session.